Hey, aloha, and welcome to the ThinkTech Hawaii studios. We are virtual with you today with James Louie from Microsoft. He's the director of security there. So I think this will be a nice episode to get some perspective on what the enterprise security world is like, you know, a global enterprise operating when COVID is spread around the world. James, I really appreciate you jumping in and sharing some perspective with us today, man.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I know I've seen some of your stuff at some of the trade shows when we used to have trade shows, but many of our audience may not have gotten out there. So could you kind of go ahead and give us some of your background? You know, James is a Hawaii guy, and maybe we can take that story from sort of there to how you got to Redmond and how you ended up in Microsoft.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's kind of a non-traditional foray into the security world, but it's kind of an interesting path. So, yeah, I grew up in Hawaii Kai. I graduated from Iolani School. I ended up going to the University of Washington. From there, I went to law school. I majored in society and justice, criminal justice, and then I decided that I needed to do something with my life. I was thinking about a career in federal law enforcement, and you needed some experience. Like, you know, they weren't hiring people until they were 23 years of age, or life experience, that kind of thing. So I thought I'll go to law school. I did okay on the LSAT and got admitted to Seattle University School of Law. So I went off to law school. When I was at law school, I took a class, law practice, and we actually got to be lawyers. I interned for the King County Prosecutor's Office. I did a couple trials, and I was actually pretty good at it. So,
Wow.
After graduating from law school, they offered me a job. Let me back up for just a second. I'll tie this home again. When I was my first year in law school, I got an internship at the Attorney General's office in Hawaii. My supervisor there was Keith Kaneshiro.
Wow.
So when I graduated from law school, actually Keith offered me a job, and then the King County Prosecutor's office here in Seattle offered me a job. And as much as I wanted to come home, the pay wasn't going to make it for me, so I decided to stay in Seattle. I ended up prosecuting matters for about 10 years for King County. And then I went off to right after the September 11th attacks. I got hired by the federal government. I helped stand up TSA. I was one of the first 50 attorneys that was hired for the organization. Because of my background in prosecution, I managed a civil enforcement program, and I also was the advisor to the Air Marshal Service in the Seattle region. Great organization, great, really a noble cause at that time. The fight against terrorism and creating an organization, an agency that hopefully would be top notch. TSA and the federal government has its challenges. I ended up not loving the job, but it was a good, noble job at the time. One of my previous jobs at the prosecutor's office, I was a narcotics task force prosecutor. So I was embedded in a local narcotics task force, and we did a lot of drug busts. I prosecuted the cases to trial. And one of the, it was a multi-agency task force. So there's City of Redmond, City of Issaquah, City of Mercer Island, City of Bellevue. And the detective that represented the City of Redmond was a guy by the name of Brian Tuscan, who just happened to be our CSO now. So Brian and I maintained a friendship. We had the Hawaii connection. I heard he had left public service for Microsoft. I thought he was absolutely nuts. Career in public service. That's my mom and dad were both feds, so I figured that's career. I'm going to be a career public servant. Well, after I got to the feds, I thought maybe not. But I kept in touch with Brian. One Christmas I sent him an email, and he said, "Hey, I got a job opening if you're interested." And that was 15 years ago. So I worked my way up to director of security for the Americas region. I was hired as an investigator. That was really my passion. but I worked my way up through the company, and now I manage the investigations team. I manage our operations team for the Puget Sound region, which is our main campus in Redmond, for North, South, and Central America. I manage our background screening program, and we also maintain control over what's left of our retail stores and the investigations and operations that occur there. So that's how I got to Microsoft 15 years ago. But it started back in 1992 with a connection to Brian Tustin. So
Isn't that
yeah,
that's coming full circle now?
it
When to meet him during an investigation, when you guys were both in law enforcement and have the Hawaii thing, that's awesome. Love that
yeah,
story.
yeah. I mean, we didn't know each other, but we knew, the same people, right? So
And you went to Kalani?
Iolani.
Iolani. Oh, and
Iolani.
and he
And
was
Brian
he was the public school guy.
Yeah, Dustin went to Kailua, and he doesn't let me forget that a public school guy is managing a private school guy. Yeah, he never lets me forget it.
Awesome. That's for those of you that don't know, that's a big thing in Hawaii, which is why, James has the law degree, and I'm not sure what kind of degrees Brian has these days, but that's awesome stuff. Um, so investigations, how I mean, I don't think people when they think of Microsoft, they think of, tech company. But having an investigations department, that's sort of at the enterprise level. You need that. I don't think most people would consider what that takes and what sort of things kind of come your way. Can you share with us some of the more historical or memorable things that have come your way?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just take the Puget Sound region, our headquarters,
Okay.
for example. Any given day, or in the past before COVID, we'd have between 45 and 60,000 people on campus every day. We have 100 some odd buildings across campus. And if you look at our footprint, we're really the size of a small city, and we have small city problems. So, what keeps us up at night really is threat of violence and workplace violence issues. So, that's really what we pride ourselves on, as being the subject matter experts for the company in threat mitigation. So that's investigation number one. We've got domestic violence spillover. We have stalking issues. We have harassment issues. We have trespass issues.
Wow.
You name it, we've got it. From other routine investigative matters that we handle. Again, we have people that come off, that are not associated with Microsoft, coming to commit crimes on campus, burglaries, thefts. Then we have the
Wow.
internal stuff as well, right? So we've got a lot of, I won't say a lot, we have our fair share of internal theft, workplace violence, employee misconduct. We have, again, all the small city problems that you can think of, we have at Microsoft. And then you
And do you,
multiply that not only from our campus here in Redmond, but we're in 109 different countries, and we have 700 different sites that we manage. So I've got peers in Asia and EMEA who have the same problems that I do here.
Wow. And so obviously crossing, country boundaries, the investigation processes differ, I'm guessing. In the local area there in Puget, do you have like concurrent jurisdiction? Like, because you have Microsoft officers, I believe, and then like there's also Redmond Police, and I guess there's Seattle or the Washington Police. Is there
Yeah.
jurisdiction that you can work with, like I guess the prosecuting attorneys or whatever, to
Yeah,
help out?
absolutely. So obviously with my background and the majority of our investigative team, they're former law enforcement officers, even feds. So we have all these relationships, and we're really big at Microsoft on that public-private partnership. So in the city of in Microsoft, our main campus is in the city of Redmond. So our main police agency that we work with is Redmond PD.
Gotcha.
We also have buildings in the city of Bellevue, which is a suburb that's just a hop, skip, and a jump from Redmond. So we work with the Bellevue Police Department. We used to have facilities in the city of Seattle, so we work with the city of Seattle. We work with the FBI all the time because we've got we're spread out across North America. So we have, really rich relationships, really strong ties to law enforcement, and really great partnerships. So we have partners that we can bring in when we need them.
Yeah. So this is kind of touches on HR a little bit too, when it's like internal employee related stuff. Does that program flow up like to you when the, I guess what do we call them? When the behavioral training isn't working or whatever, does that become things that you have to intervene with or work with?
Absolutely. So we collaborate strongly with our HR partners. We obviously collaborate strongly and closely with our legal partners. We want to make sure that we're doing, our investigations in a lawful manner. We want to make sure that our employees are treated fairly and lawfully, and they have a great experience. I mean, we want people, when they get fired for some odd, reason, to think that the process was fair and great, because we don't need any blowback, in terms of violence or even litigation. So we work very closely with our HR partners, and we have a body called the Office of Legal Compliance. They manage kind of the investigative process across the company. So we're one of just a very few investigative teams that can interview full-time employees, and we follow a process. We have, escalations that we make. We have partners that we leverage before we do anything. So investigations are very well thought out. We have great processes and controls, so that the experience again is one that the employee will find palatable at the very least if they're terminated, right? So yeah, we try to make sure that we do things the right way.
That's awesome. Like a human centered investigative body, that's really good. It's good to hear. We need more of that in the world,
Yeah, Brian has really fostered this culture of professionalism and compassion, right? We treat our jobs as investigators, and even on the ops side, we're neutral fact finders. We're not there to determine that, your morality, what was your behavior, good or bad. We're just fact finders. We don't hold the decision as to what happens, after we uncover the truth. Sure. That is for HR, that's for legal, that's for your manager. So we're not involved in the discipline process, but we're just involved in the fact-finding process.
That's awesome. Can you give us a number? How many investigations do you have to handle, like in a given year?
Yeah, well, in a normal year, we're upwards of 3,000 across the globe.
That's low, I would think, for the number of people. That's actually really low.
It's not when you're doing them. Not when you're doing them.
Yeah, I guess 3,000. Divide that by 50 weeks. Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah,
that's a lot of work. How large is your your department or the investigative department? Because you mentioned you have.
The team is we've got a manager, director that rolls up to me, and then 5 investigators underneath him. And then we supplement the team with Pinkerton investigators. So our total team is roughly about 20 people that covers at least the Puget Sound region in North America. And then my peers in Asia and EMEA also have teams, much smaller, because we're the most, mature team. And we have the most geographic area. But yeah, about 22 people that make up the investigations team.
That's a lot of work for 22 people. Okay.
It is.
We will, I tell you what, we got to pay some bills. So we'll take a break for about 1 minute, and we'll be right back with James Louie.
Aloha, I'm Christine Linders, a physical therapy specialist and the host of Movement Matters. My show is designed to teach you the simplest and most effective treatment strategies to get you out of pain and back to doing what you love. If you or someone you know is having pain in a certain area of the body and would like a free assessment in treatment over media or in person, and then come on the show to talk about it, email us at thinktechmovementmatters@gmail.com. Or if you have a topic you would like to know more about, please email us. My goal is to decrease pain all over the world, inspiring people to take better care of their bodies, to enjoy life to the fullest. I look forward to hearing from you.
Hey, aloha, and welcome back to Security Matters. We are virtually live from the ThinkTech Hawaii studios today with James Louie from Microsoft. He is the Director of Security there. And James, we were just reviewing your caseload, 3,000 cases amongst 20 people. That sounds like a low level of cases for the amount of people you have. I think that's awesome. Probably a testimony of that culture building that's gone on there. Tell us a little bit. I know you've got a new campus build out going on, and are there people, and this comes from anecdotally, my wife, who's going to kill me, like she, in her career, she always wanted to have a parking spot next to Bill Gates. That was one of her dreams when she was young. And so I was just wondering if you get these people who just want to like be around Microsoft, so they just wander on the campus and act like they belong there and end up in places and doing things they shouldn't do.
We do, and this campus build out is going to make it even much more accessible. So the new campus build out that Microsoft is undertaking is going to be incredible. It's retail shops, it's office buildings. I mean, it's going to be fantastic. And if you've ever been to Microsoft, you'll notice that it's a very open environment, and the new build out is going to be even more so. So yes, we attract families. We attract people that just like to be on campus and enjoy the shops and our sports fields and those kinds of things. But we also sometimes have the undesirables show up as well, and that makes for a challenging day for our operations folks. But we're a welcoming company, and we want people to come and enjoy our products and our facilities and be safe and productive. So yeah, we've got to balance the openness of our campus with the security risks that come with that, and we've got great relationships with our partners on the real estate side, and they consult us on the build out, and it's a great partnership in making sure that our campus is safe, secure, and accessible. So
sure,
it's going to be cool.
I know that the model that I saw, plus open, but a lot of stuff was kind of going underground as well. Like all the services weren't going to be on the surface. What about from like a security perspective? It seems to me, and I think I heard Mike Foynes talk about this maybe a year or so ago, but you may have been ahead of the time with this sort of like touchless technology or frictionless sort of ability to move around for the workforce, for the visitors. Is that what's the investigative thought on that, or the research thought there? Because you're going to want to obviously be able to track and trace people. If you're doing an investigation, you want to know what they did and where they went. Have you gotten contribution on that kind of side of the house, or what's the thinking there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I guess as investigators and operators, we would love to have, the door that doesn't open until someone actually, opens the door and vets the person, right? But we've got this open campus. The touchless technology, the frictionless technology, it's still in flight. We're adjusting as we go with the technology that's available, but the idea is the same, is that we want people to be able to come onto campus and that the security measures that we have in place are invisible to them. So we will still be able to hopefully monitor movement, and we'll have cameras, and we'll have those different things. But really, from a experience perspective, the visitor or the employee who's moving about campus, all they need to worry about is, the next project that they're working on, whatever the next release is. Security will be in place. It will be invisible, but it's there.
Yeah, we all want that sort of blanket of protection around us. We want to know that security's there. And I know we've sort of talked about that. We have in the insider threat world, we talk a little bit about how the negligent insider, right, who thinks that all the security's done for them, so they can I can go to this website because the technology wouldn't let me go there if it was bad for me. Do you think, or is there an idea for how to guide people in a world where, like, today there's like a stop sign, don't cross, but in the future, we're going to let them, hopefully with a little less friction, be able to move about more freely, but still keep them safe?
Yeah, and it all begins with education and awareness. And so Microsoft is big on obviously the employee experience, and part of that is our learnings, the learnings that are available to us, and the trainings that are available to us, and we have required trainings, and part of that required training is security, whether it's physical or logical. You need to go through modules, right, and attest that you've taken these trainings, and it's recorded. So it's incumbent upon the employee to know what he or she needs to do, what measures they need to take to protect the company, either from a physical perspective or a logical perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that ongoing? I realize there's probably an onboarding process where they've got to get familiar. From an investigative perspective, if you see trends more in negligent parking or something, for example, do you get to weigh in on that and have like refresher training that people are required to take?
It depends on the situation, but if we see trends, obviously we share them with our legal partners and our HR partners, and we try to correct behavior. But training is usually every year. Parking issues are really the least of our problems. Those things that matter, we'll certainly have, the company considers us the subject matter experts on quite a bit of topics. So we are trusted advisors to the business. So we're able to hopefully sway the business and the enterprise into making the needed changes.
Sure, security first. Could you share with us maybe some of the differences between...
On your side, right?
Yeah, for sure. Can you share with us maybe some of the differences between maybe just a North America versus South America perspective on, let's just say, the freedom of the worker, or where you think there's maybe the greatest sort of cultural changes or challenges, managing across two different continents?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say this goes for my colleagues in Asia and Europe, Middle East, and Africa as well. The smaller countries, the subs, all think that they are separate companies, so they want to do things their own way quite often. For me, South America, Mexico, Brazil, we've got different sorts of problems than we do, in North America. But we've got fantastic resources down there. I have regional security managers that sit in those countries. I have regional security advisors. So we're very close. We're embedded in the businesses. We're very close. Culturally, they're resistant to change. But we again, as we try to be the trusted advisor and trusted leader to the businesses, we try to change behavior, through our security measures and our partnerships, and it makes for a challenging job.
I know my wife said that the only no one likes to change except a baby with a dirty diaper or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I might. So these countries all have their own, or these countries all have their own country managers. They have their own vice presidents. So they really want to operate, independently. And sometimes they don't want to follow the rules like the rest of us. But it makes it interesting.
That's awesome. Well, we've got a couple minutes left. Maybe let's take us into what you think the sort of the future of security is going to be. What's the top one or two things maybe on your radar from an enterprise perspective? And then just take us on out.
Okay. Well, I think as we look at building out security programs, Brian Tuscan has done a fantastic job in building depth and a great team here at Microsoft. And I think as we look to security leaders in the future and those people that we're bringing on, it's not just about security. It's about understanding business and having business acumen. So those next leaders that are coming through need to understand the business, because security is just a small part of an enterprise. We're a supporting member of the cast. We're not driving anything, right? So we're here to make the business profitable. So to understand the business side of things, that's where that next security leader is really going to succeed. From a security perspective, what's coming in the future? There's lots of great technology out there. Whether it's gunshot detection stuff, whether it's the frictionless stuff that we're working on. I think if we can look to leverage technology to supplement and augment our human element, our human staff, that's really where we're going to really advance our industry, is learning how to leverage technology. For example, Microsoft, all of us are working remotely. We have a skeleton crew that's on campus doing the needful, our responders and guards, but everybody else, we're all working remotely. I mean, we're not there. We haven't been there since, February. So technology is where it's at.
Nice. Well, we're going to be using technology to help aid our workforce and to help, I think hopefully bring more value from our industry to our businesses. Right? That's an awesome statement. James, I really appreciate you joining me today. Hope you get back to Hawaii once in a while, see the family, catch up with us a little bit, but I'll look to see you up in Seattle when I can travel again too as well. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Aloha.
Okay. Have a great day, man. Take care. Aloha.